How many of these did you bring down?
4. More than enough.
We're going to need another 2.
2 more? Why? Who have we got today?
Colonel A.D. Wintle, MC.
Never heard of him. Oh, look busy.
Excuse me, Colonel. Actually, that's my chair.
Oh, it's perfectly all right, dear chap. You can have mine. I'm quite happy here. Extraordinary thing, you know, when I did This Is Your Life television program, they did their darndest to hide these things. What it was, you see, they didn't want the contraption to appear on the television screen. I think that was it, you see.
If you're ready, Colonel Wintle.
Yes, I'm ready. What are we waiting for?
Recording.
Do you want me to start talking, or are you going to ask me a question?
I'll just introduce you.
Fine.
Our castaway this week is a soldier, a writer, and an individualist. His adventurous career, his gallantry, and his lack of respect for the dull and chairborne have earned him a great reputation. Often referred to as the last Englishman, he is Colonel A.D. Wintle, MC.
Hello.
Yes, dear.
Glenfiddich, please.
Glenfiddich? Right you are.
Could I have a bottle?
A bottle of Glenfiddich.
That's right.
All right, then. That'll be, £6, 5 shillings. Been to a funeral, have you? Someone close?
Not really close, no.
Well, a friend, then.
Do you know, he never said a kind word to me in his entire life. But, yes, I suppose he was a friend. Wintle. Lieutenant Colonel A.D. Wintle of the Royals.
Do you ever listen to the radio?
No, not really. No, I'm too busy, you see. That's the thing of it. I don't have the time. Besides, I find I'm more interested in other things, like concrete mixing, for example. I mix a lot of concrete. As indeed does my wife. She, too, likes to mix concrete in Kent.
Quite, Colonel.
Can you hear me through there? Can you hear what I'm saying through that glass?
Please.
Very good.
Now, I was asking you about the First World War.
Oh, yes. Well, your question implies that you think there were 2 world wars. Well, I'm not of that opinion. As far as I'm concerned, there was only the one war with the Germans. It lasted 31 years, with a sort of lull in the middle while they regrouped.
Now, you commissioned in just 4 months, I believe.
Well, when your country needs you, there's no sense in hanging around. My father was a military man, and from an early age I'd read extensively on military history and strategy and so forth. So by the time I got to the front, I already considered myself to be an experienced soldier.
Hell's that? Wintle! Get your bloody head down!
Weren't you ever afraid?
No, I was in the cavalry.
So
Well, I was often frustrated. It's very tiresome hanging around and there's no real action, by which I mean the action of going forward, you see? Precisely during these tedious long hours that accidents will happen, you see? Come on! Come on! Come on! Heave your English horse, damn you! Heave! There you go! Heave! Come on! That's it! Heave!
And now your first choice of music.
Try not to move. You're in hospital, but you're going to be all right. Now, shush, shush. I'm sorry.
The horse, is it all right?
I'll just go and get the doctor.
No, there's no need just to see. I'm fine. I just wanted to know how the... God, blasted woman.
And the horse. Was it hurt?
Well, mercifully, the horse was unscathed, but I took a bit of a clattering.
Well, Lieutenant, you should have been killed. As it is, you've lost the sight of one eye, 2 fingers from your left hand, your knee bone, and...
Yes, Doctor, I think we can forget the inventory. What I want to know is, how soon can I get back to the front?
That's out of the question. You're being sent back to England.
What?
On the next ship.
This may have escaped your notice, Doctor, but there is no fighting to be done in England.
I'd have thought you'd had enough fighting for one war.
Now, you listen to me, Doctor. I may have made a silly ass of myself by letting myself get blown up, but I'm not going to let myself get sent home.
You don't have any choice.
You can't keep me here!
No? We'll see.
Fucking prick.
Getting out of the hospital wasn't easy. The doctors were determined to bugger about with my wounds, you see. So I came up with a plan of escape, which at the time I thought was foolproof.
I'm told there are already 40,000 cases, and the numbers are rising. They're setting up a royal commission. Not that that'll do any good. The first case of syphilis I treated was in Egypt. I'll never forget the poor chap's face. Mr. Wintle, will you please get back into bed?
Bugger. I don't know. I suppose it might have been the monocle. Anyway, they told me they're going to put me on a charge over this, so it became all the more imperative that I get out.
Doctor, come with me. This time, I think we've lost him. The matron saw him climbing over the wall.
Oh, well, we need the bed.
Oh, that man. Honestly, he doesn't know what he's doing.
Nurse, Second Lieutenant Wintle has seen action at Ypres, the Somme, Le Bessay, and Festubert. He captured the village of Vest single-handed and almost certainly get the military cross. I would have said he's a man who knew exactly what he's doing.
Listen.
What?
You can hear the birds. When did you last hear the birds?
It's over.
You can believe that if you want to. I don't. This piece of theirs is paper thin and paper's all it's worth.
It's over for me.
Not for me. You wait and see. They'll be back, the bloodthirsty Bosch. You wait and see.
So on your return from India in 1934, you were in hospital in Aldershot following a riding accident.
Yes, that's right. I've often said that it's impossible for a man to be unhappy on the back of a horse. I suppose I should have added that being thrown off the back of the self-same horse is a rather less pleasurable experience, particularly if one lands in a hard place.
We've only got another 3 tapes.
I told you.
Well, maybe somebody should tell him he only gets half an hour.
Well, they could always leave out the music.
Yeah.
And chappie asked me what are my 3 favourite animals. I didn't know what the blazes to answer, so I said, a horse, and a horse. He said, well, surely isn't that rather unfair to your dog? Well, my dog doesn't listen to the radio any more than I do, so I don't think he can be offended.
You were in hospital in Aldershot?
When was this?
Following your riding accident.
Oh, yes, I am damn for showing off. You can't blame the horse. That's an outrageous accusation. I think you should retract it.
Now, it was here that you actually told a man to stop dying. How did you go about that?
You're talking about Mays, aren't you? One of my troopers. Yes, well, I wasn't going to have it. I spent a lot of time on him, training him and so forth, and the scoundrel was going to die on me. Dashed untidy thing to do, you see.
I say, Doctor, can you tell me what's happening here?
Well, he's a trooper in the Royal Dragoons band, diphtheria and mastoiditis. We've done what we can, but I'm afraid it's all up with him.
What? The Royal Dragoons? What's his name?
Mays.
Mays! Can you hear me? What's all this nonsense? Don't you know it's an offence for a Royal Dragoon to die in bed? You must stop dying immediately. Do you hear?
I'm sick, man.
Well, somebody had to tell you.
Will you please go back to bed?
Doctor?
Mays! Mays! When you've stopped all this malingering nonsense, get your bloody hair cut.
I was actually too afraid to die. You know? I was only 16.
I don't blame you. He sounds a complete monster.
Oh, no. No, he paid for me to go to a place to convalesce. Out of his own pocket, yeah.
And the trooper, Cedric Mays, he's all right?
All right. I wouldn't say that, but he's alive, if that's what you mean.
Now, you were born in Russia.
Yes, but only because my mother happened to be there at the time.
You're not of Russian parentage?
No, good heavens, no. I have to say that I believe passionately in the English and the English way of life, you see. And it is inconceivable that I could have been born anything else.
And yet you were educated in France?
Yes, that's right. That's how I come to speak fluent French. As a matter of fact, in my primary certificate, I came top of the whole of France with 99%. I can still remember telling my father this news.
He must have been very proud.
Oh, not a bit of it, no. He gave me a damn good wigging. Said if I hadn't been slacking, I'd have got 100%. Not a very kind man, my father. Not really, no.
Now, I'd like to move on.
But I suppose he taught me a valuable lesson.
What?
A profound mistrust of adults, particularly those in positions of authority. And that is something that has never changed.
Have you seen today's paper, Colonel?
Yes, it's a good show. Damn good show.
Absolutely.
What do you think, Wintle? £800 million voted for defence. That ought to make the Germans sit up and think.
I doubt it, sir.
What?
It's a drop in the ocean compared with what the Germans are spending. Generally, I'd say our position was pretty bloody.
You seem to forget, Wintle, we're not actually at war with the Germans.
And never will be.
I'm still at war with the Germans, sir. Whatever bogus ideas others may have on the subject.
Bogus ideas, eh? You are as insolent, Wintle, as I was warned you would be. Don't you think it's about time you learned some respect for your superiors?
With respect, sir, the Royal Dragoons have no superiors. And damn few equals either, for that matter.
You take a pride, do you, in being this rude?
No, sir. I make my business never to be rude to anyone below the rank of brigadier. But you're so blinkered, I've decided to make an exception.
What did you say?
What?
Wintle! You're on special attachment to the French Air Force, aren't you?
Yes, sir. I'm with General Mondigal.
Yes. promise, well, you'll hear more about this.
Thank you, sir.
Joe! Whiskey and soda.
They will send you home, you know. You are treading on the wrong toes. You should learn tact.
I'm afraid tact is something I'm not very practiced at, General Montegal.
Quite. Well, I will be sorry to lose you. I want you to make me a promise.
Sir?
The Germans are on their way. Why does nobody else see it? There is going to be a catastrophe. France will fall. You know just about every senior officer in the country. Now, if together we could just find a way to get our pilots to England. Well, somebody has to do something. Promise me, Wintle. When the worst happens, you will return.
You have my word on it, sir.
Montegal was right, of course. When the storm finally broke, I was determined to stand by my word.
Sir, I don't think you understand me. I understand you perfectly, Major. The trouble with you, Wintle, is that you're unorthodox. And unorthodox is something a British officer should not be.
Just listen to me, sir.
I have listened to you, Wintle, and the answer is no. You made a bloody nuisance of yourself all around Whitehall, but this is the end of it. Do you understand me?
Yes, sir. I understand you perfectly.
Angela, door.
Well, all I understood was that I had somehow to get to Bordeaux, where I'd arranged to rendezvous with General Montegal, you see. And with his authority and my contacts, there was still a slight chance we could get some of the French Air Force out before it was too late. All I had to worry about was the firing squad if we failed, you see.
How soon can you prepare an airplane for takeoff?
Sir?
Sauerkraut.
I'm sorry, sir.
The code word is sauerkraut. I'm Major A.D. Wintle. Haven't you heard your orders from London?
No, sir.
Signed by Air Commodore Boyle himself. You're to prepare an airplane to take me immediately to Bordeaux. Absolute secrecy must be observed. You understand?
Yes, sir.
Well, get on with it.
Sir.
Pieces of string.
Yes, sir. Sauerkraut, sir. I believe it's a sort of German cabbage, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, hurry up!
To be stopped at all costs!
Are you out of your mind? Trying to procure one of His Majesty's aircraft with what turns out to be a letter from your dentist?
I beg of you, sir, listen to me. I must make that flight. Don't you see? It's not too late. We could still salvage half the air strength of France.
What's going on in France is none of your business. God's sake, there are proper channels. Channels? You talk to me about channels? Don't you realize blood is flowing in France, not ink, blood? Nothing to do with you. You just do what you're told and get out. How dare you? You heard me. It's spineless, incompetent bureaucrats like you that have brought the disaster of this war on our heads. You should be shot. What? In fact, I'll do it myself. Bugger. Missed.
You were one of the last people to be locked up in the Tower of London, I believe.
Yes, that's right. Well, if you're going to go to prison, the Tower's the place. Had some wonderful dinner parties there, at my own expense, of course. A particularly good duck in aspic, I recall. I was almost sorry when the time came for my court-martial.
Major Wintle, you are charged with threatening a senior officer. This is a very serious offense. How do you plead?
Not guilty, sir.
You deny the incident took place?
No, sir, but I deny that Air Commodore Boyle is my superior officer, or indeed anyone else's. Furthermore, I refuse to apologize for my actions. Had I been allowed to complete my mission, the French Air Force would not now be in enemy hands. As for Mr. Boyle, he is merely an inconsiderable civil servant, improperly dressed in His Majesty's uniform. I will, if it pleases the court, plead guilty to a charge of civil assault. I will also plead guilty to desiring to shoot a number of short-sighted senior officers and politicians who I'll now be very happy to name.
No, Major, there's no need for that. I have to say that civil assault is an entirely different kettle of fish. I'm not even sure it comes within my jurisdiction.
He could have killed me. Well, he could.
I was found guilty and sentenced to a severe reprimand. Which, of course, is no sentence at all. I don't know what happened to Boyle. I don't suppose the poor fellow ever quite got over it.
Now, it was shortly after this that you were sent into occupied France.
Yes, that's right. Well, it was quite a dangerous mission, actually. And what it was, I had to make contact with the underground and report on the condition of British POWs in France, you see. And for this purpose, I was disguised as a down-and-out French schoolteacher. Very shabby customer.
Blasted jerry machinery.
Bonjour. Bonjour. Je pourrais avoir un verre d'eau? La pompe est là-bas.
Vous avez votre prix à vous?
Oui, mais il est tari. Vous êtes Wintle?
Oui. Vous êtes Étienne?
Malheureusement, Étienne n'a pas pu se libérer.
Comment Étienne n'est pas là?
gentlemen.
Allez.
Allez.
Please, sit down.
I prefer to stand, thank you.
As you wish. Cigarette?
Thank you.
My name is Maurice Molière. I'm Commandant of the Fort Sainte-Catherine. I hope I can count on your cooperation.
My cooperation? Are you mad? Do you really think I'm going to stay 1 minute longer than I have to in this pathetic excuse for a prison? Let me assure you, Monsieur Molière, as long as I'm holding the King's commission, I'm going to do everything in my power to escape.
It took me 3 weeks. The lock on my cell door was antique, you see. It was Napoleonic. And I got out onto the roof and down onto the ground by means of a makeshift rope, all pretty straightforward stuff. But, the problem was getting out of the country. Don't forget, I was in the middle of Vichy France. Damn frog traitors everywhere. I was on the run for 5 days, you see. I was getting pretty ripe. So I needed a bath, and I booked into a hotel. Not a good idea in retrospect.
I just don't understand you, Major. If you're going to be exchanged anyway...
Of course you don't understand, Monsieur Molière. I'm doing my duty.
Down!
Just a moment. I wish to protest under the terms of the Geneva Convention.
You wish to protest? What about?
The state of this prison. Look at that guard. Shoddy uniform, unshaven, filthy boots. You're not much better yourself. Food all over your face. The whole place is a pigsty, not fit for a British officer.
That is enough, monsieur.
No, it's not. I'm formally announcing my intention to go on hunger strike until I have a cell and a guard, and for that matter, a commandant worthy of my rank and nation.
If you don't eat, you'll die.
Yes, that's very perceptive of you, Monsieur Molière. I will die. And what'll happen to your hostages then, you see? Maybe you should think about that. Left and sharp. No, thank you.
Mais qu'est-ce que vous faites là? Vous n'avez rien à faire? Il y a beaucoup de boulot par ici. Vous êtes en vacances ou quoi?
Anyway, I'm not hungry.
Major Wintle, it's been 13 days now. 13 days, please! I've had this brought to you out of my own pocket. Let's sit down and discuss this like gentlemen.
No, thank you.
But look at all this food. Prepared by my personal chef. Can you really resist it?
Thank you, Monsieur Molière, but you're too late.
Too late?
It's 7:30, and I'm not on a hunger strike. I always dine at 7 o'clock, you see.
Ah, ça vous fait rire, idiot. Pourquoi pas faire comme il dit et montrer un peu d'amour-propre? Vous êtes dégoûtant!
D'ailleurs, tout est dégoûtant par ici.
Come on, Daniel!
Oui.
Yeah. I met that Molière after the war, you know. Do you know what he told me? After Wintle had escaped, he made it this time, by the way, Molière took 280 of his men and joined the resistance. He was so ashamed of himself, you see.
So what did he do then, after the war?
Wintle? He got a house in Kent. He got married. I used to visit him sometimes. Yeah.
Good morning, Colonel.
Ah! Is that you, mate? I didn't recognize you with all your face funkers, you see. What do you think?
Oh, splendid. Absolutely splendid.
Yes, they pass their best, of course. My floral grenadiers. No other flower quite like them, you see, so... upright. Those will have to go, of course.
Oh, the French marigolds. What's wrong with them? They're rather nice.
They're not English, that's what's wrong with them. I only ever planted English seeds in this garden. I don't know how they had the impertinence to grow there. You staying for lunch?
Well, yes, if I'm invited.
I can't think of any good reason why not. I finished here. I think we should go inside and do something serious. Gin, I think.
Well, why not?
I thought you were a Matalo, you see.
Well, what with my beard?
Some skin condition or...
No.
No, that's incorrect. We had two air raid shelters, you see, one for myself and one for my wife. We built these edifices with our bare hands. Devil of a job putting them up. Blasted planners and council people interfering all the time, you see. Everyone's on the make.
If I can interrupt you there,
What
Colonel
is the
Wintle.
take? On the make or on the take? One or the other. Oh, probably both, I don't know. Yes.
Colonel Wintle.
What?
I'd like to take you forward to 1947, when you fell foul of the authorities in what would become a rather celebrated case.
Ah, yes, you're referring to that solicitor chap, aren't you? Well, I was just coming to that when you interrupted me, see? Where was it? I've forgotten my train of thought now with all your blasted interruptions. Yes, what it was, my sister, Marjorie, had for many years been looking after an elderly relative, a Miss Kitty Wells, who, in the fullness of time, died, as is often the case with elderly people, leaving a rather complicated will, an unnecessarily complicated will.
And the main beneficiary was the solicitor who had actually drawn up the will.
That's right, Frederick Harold Nye.
Marjorie gets bugger all, and this chap Nye walks off with £115,000.
Well, that's monstrous. Can't you, contest the will or whatever it's called?
Well, Marjorie could, but she won't. I can't because I'm not legally involved, you see.
And surely it's a matter for the police.
I've written to the police, and MPs, Law Society, the press. Although everyone accepts that the chap has behaved dishonourably, he hasn't actually done anything illegal, you see. It's all very difficult.
Well, then, what are you going to do?
I thought I'd thrash him with a horsewhip. Marjorie talked me out of that. But I still think the right way to go about it is to get the case out into the open, into the press.
How?
So what I did was, I held this chap Nye up at gunpoint, debagged him, photographed him in his underwear, you see, and flew his trousers from my own private flagpole. It'll be a sad day for Britain when a man will not risk going to prison for his womenfolk.
Lieutenant Colonel Wintle, you have pleaded guilty to the perpetration of a violent and carefully planned assault. You will go to prison for 6 months.
Gentlemen of the press, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. Mr. Wintle, have the 6 months passed quickly?
Were you very bored? I'm never bored when I'm present.
Mr. Wintle, do you actually believe you've achieved anything?
Absolutely. The case of Frederick Harold Nye was raised at my trial. The first time it's been heard in an English court.
Yes, well, heard and thrown out.
Yes, but with the attendant publicity, various cousins of Miss Kitty Wells have assigned me an interest in the estate. This now means that I can contest the will on their behalf.
How much do you stand to make, Mr. Wintle?
I'm not doing this for the money, sir. My assignment is purely nominal and I won't make a penny. I would say, however, that if I lose, I stand to lose everything. Goodbye.
Lieutenant Colonel Wintle, you have stated publicly that you dragged Mr. Nye into court in order to expose him. I think you should pay for that pleasure. I'm awarding costs against you.
There's an old cavalry motto, keep trotting. If in doubt, gallop. Gallop ahead, and that's what I decided to do, you see. 6 months later, my case came up before the Court of Appeal, and it took 8 days of legal argument, after which the judge summed up in just 8 words.
In my opinion, the appeal should be dismissed.
This'll amuse you, Mays. This is the area of the garden I call the House of Commons, you see. Polyanthus, pansies and pinks.
Are you totally ruined, A.D.?
Yes. The house is mortgaged. We've had to sell furniture, pictures, silver. It's Dora I feel sorry for, poor woman.
What are you going to do?
I don't know, Maze. It's a problem. It really is. What have I done? But still they don't understand the case, Maze. Hold yourself in readiness for a counterattack. We're going to remount, march, and appeal at the House of Lords.
And now, can I have your last record, please?
Certainly. It's a hymn for all the saints. Played with the proper tune, if you please.
Ah, that's the one. Well done. Well done, that man. Good show, Maze. Do we have a cup of tea?
That'd be just the job, sir.
Yes. Put the kettle on, Roger. We don't get any joy out of that. We've had it. I think I'll roll over and die like an old dog.
Absolute rubbish, sir. You won't do that. We'll come home and have a nice cup of tea.
Or something stronger?
Well, yes, that's the stuff to give the troops.
My lords, 10 years ago, I set out on a course of action that brings me here today. The facts are before you. Miss Wells came into this world with nothing, and she left it with nothing, you see. And in the intervening years, she amassed a considerable fortune. According to the terms of the will drawn up by her solicitor in his office and witnessed by his clerks, you see, the great bulk of that fortune was left to that solicitor. Did Miss Wells know that he was going to get it? And if she did she have full knowledge of the amount?
My lords, for all his talk, Colonel Wintle has not produced a shred of evidence that Miss Wells was unclear as to the effect of her will and the destination of her assets. Colonel Wintle has a reputation as a troublemaker. What he does not have, it seems, however, is any training in law. This is quite evident in that he has obviously not understood the will or its implications.
Precisely. And if I don't understand it, having studied it for 10 years, would it be presumptuous to suggest that the elderly and somewhat simple Miss Wells did not understand it either, you see? Do you even understand it, my lords? Was it a will that was written to be understood? Very pleased, very much. It's a vindication of everything we've been trying to do for the last 10 years, so it's very pleasing. I think we ought to press on. Yes.
What are your plans for the future?
Just have a rest now, get into the garden and do a bit of coffee mixing and that sort of thing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Like that. It's like the front all over again.
Tell me, Colonel, what do you think of Elvis Presley, sir?
Elvis who?
Elvis Presley.
Oh, I don't know the chap. Was he one of my men? Was he a trooper, was he?
Oh, he's a pop singer.
Oh, he's a pop singer. No, I don't know about all that. What in the blue blazes you been doing here, mate? They've all been cut to the same length. They should be stacked correspondingly, you see. They should be flush. And that one there, it's proud, there. That, yes. Oh.
Are you all right, sir?
I feel a little unwell, Maze. I think I'll go inside.
Yes, why don't you go inside, sir? And if you're thinking about making your will, sir, you will remember me, won't you?
Do you think I'm going to die, Maze?
Oh, yes, sir.
Oh, my word. That is a sobering statement. In that case, I'll charge you with a most solemn undertaking. Should I predecease you, you will arrange for the band of the Royal Dragoons to play for me in the Cavalryman's Chapel in Canterbury Cathedral, you see? Tell them it must be stanchion, Schubert's Serenade.
Certainly, sir.
It's just occurred to me, if neither the band nor the trumpeters are available, you'll have to sing the whole lot yourself, mate.
Well, consider it done, sir.
If they let you in with that fungus all over your face.
But they're all in Germany. The whole bloody lot of them. Band, trumpeters, they've all gone. Well, I'll better be off then.
Good luck.
Woman, warm entreaty softly pleading through the night to thee. Say when all is calm and silent, dearest, come to me. Whispering branches softly murmur through the moonlight clear. Through the moonlight clear. Let thy pity then restore me. Dearest, thou art near. Oh, I tremble lest I lose thee. Lest I lose thee. Come and bless me here. Come and bless me here.
Now, as well as the Bible and Shakespeare, you're allowed one book.
Ah, yes. Well, I'd like a very large blank book, so that I could write in it, you see. Inexhaustible.
And one luxury?
Ah, yes. Well, I've been thinking about this, and what I'd like is a jolly good dog whip.
Colonel A.D. Wintle, M.C. Colonel Wintle, has your career ever taken you to a desert island?
Not exactly, if you perhaps exclude Ireland. But I've been in places which are not unlike a desert island. For instance, I was a prisoner of the Vichy French, where I was kept in solitary confinement without daylight for 13 months.
So you know what solitude means?
Oh, yes.
Do you think you could face up to it again?
Of course I could. Yes, I mean, after all, I'm never bored if I'm present.
Does music play a big part in your life?
Very much.
Do you play any instrument?
I used to strum on the piano, and I still strum when my wife isn't present, because she really is a musician.
Do you play the gramophone a lot?
Nope, hate it.
Oh, well, you're going to get one now to play.
Well, I can take it, I suppose.
And you've selected 8 records. Let's hear the first.
Well, the first one is Cavalry Reveille, played by massed trumpeters.
Reveille, played by the massed cavalry trumpeters at the Searchlight Tattoo at the White City in 1957. Colonel Wintle, where were you born?
I was born in Mariupol in South Russia, near the Crimea, on the Sea of Azov.
But you're not of Russian parentage?
No, God forbid. I'm entirely English, and by English I mean English and not British.
Mm-hmm. When did you come to England for the first time?
When I was 7 years old. You see, my father and mother were in Russia at the time. Then we went to Romania. I still remember playing trains in Romanian. Plecă trenul pentru Buzău, Ploiești, Predial, Bucharesti, Vienna. Whoop! Until I was told not to wear my boots out.
Yes.
Then I went to France, remained there for a good many years, and during that period, when I was 7 years old, I came over to England for the first time.
Why did you decide to become a soldier? Was it in the family?
My father was not a soldier. He would have liked to be.
Which regiment did you join?
Originally, I was a gunner. Then I went to the 18th Royal Hussars, and then I ended up in the Royal Dragoons.
You went to the Royal Military Academy at Woolwich?
I was, at the shop, as they call it.
Yes.
And in fact, my next record is one from the shop, and it is the second march past we had when we marched up and down the front parade at the shop. And this is a most stirring tune, and it has always stood me in good stead to hum it to myself in the most anxious and frightful moments of war.
What's it called?
It is called Light of Foot.
Foot, played by the band of the Coldstream Guards. While you were still a cadet at the Royal Military Academy, the First World War started.
Yes,
And
the Kaiser's Wars, I prefer to call it, yes.
And you went to France?
Yes.
Although I believe you were badly wounded in action, you went back into the line.
Yes.
Where did you serve after the armistice?
I went to the War Office, where I forget what I did. Fortunately, nobody noticed it, so it made no difference. Then to Ireland, during the years of trouble, and then to India, northwest frontier province of India.
For a while you were instructor at the French Staff College in Paris.
Yes, I was there for 5 years.
You were brought up bilingually. Your French is as good as your English.
Yes, I read, write, and speak French, as I do English. And also German, too, except, of course, I haven't got the profound academic knowledge of German that I have of French or English.
In 1939, war again, and you went back to France.
Yes.
And the following year, 1940, you were the center of quite a bit of trouble. How did that come about?
Well, it's a long story, but really what it amounted to was this, that having seen my troops, my men, my soldiers, and my friends decimated, blotted out by the incompetence of a lot of idiots in the Kaiser's War, I saw the same pack of idiots coming up the street again in Hitler's war. And so I thought it was about time to throw a spanner in the works and get them chucked out.
Yes. You tried to set off on a one-man mission to bring the French Air Force to England.
Well, not exactly the French Air Force. I had no plan. During one of my travels to France, during the war, I met General Madigal, who was Chief of Staff of the French Air Force, who was a great personal friend of mine. He told me the French wouldn't stand up to it, and that we ought to prepare something to straighten things out if we could. He made me promise him that I would go and find him the day that occurred. I gave him my promise, but I also reported it.
Yes. And as a result of your attempts to carry out that promise, you finished up in the Tower of London.
Tower of London. Very good address. A charming place. And
but your court-martial acquitted you of the charges.
Well, it acquitted me of those charges. I mean, for instance, one of the charges that I said that certain of His Majesty's ministers ought to be shot was dropped when I started reading out the list of those whom I considered should be shot.
Yes.
And so on. I was eventually convicted of committing a civil assault, because I told some inconsiderable civil servant that he ought to be shot, and I very much regretted that I wasn't going to do so.
Well, let's break off at this point and have your third record.
My third record is from Magic Flute.
After your spell as a prisoner in the Tower, what were the conditions like in the Tower of London?
Oh, quite delightful. Guardsman McKee, who was given to me as a first servant, used to bring me whiskey and ginger ale every morning sharp at 11. After that, friends would arrive with things like ducks in aspic and so on.
Sounds very pleasant. And when you came out of there, where were you posted?
I was posted to Middle East. I went to General Wavell's GHQ in Cairo.
Yes. And then you went into occupied France as a Frenchman.
Yes. Well, the problem was we had to send some fellow off who could pose as a Frenchman with the Vichy French who were being chucked out of Syria.
Yes.
The only idiot I could find who was suitable, I thought, was myself.
And this was to lead to a second spell of imprisonment, a rather grimmer one, the one you were talking about earlier.
Yes, I was betrayed. I was invited by Darlan to meet him. Of course, it turned out to be a vulgar trap. And I was incarcerated in Fort Sainte-Catherine at Toulon.
Yes.
Kept in solitary confinement without daylight for 13 months.
There's a story told that you went on hunger strike there because of the bad turnout of your guards.
Yes, well, you see, I had to do something. And that was my way of fighting the enemy. And to get these people to brighten their ideas up.
How long did your hunger strike last?
13 days. And then, at the end of the 13th day, they gave in and said that the guards would not only be clean, but agreed to my inspecting them.
Splendid. And then they gave you a meal?
They offered me a meal, but I told them that I usually dined at 7 and not at 7:30, so they must start again tomorrow.
You made several attempts to escape?
Yes, 3.
Yes. And the last one was successful?
Yes.
You came back to London, and then what?
Well, then, mind you, I came back weighing 7 stone 8. My normal weight's 11.7. I got that back, and then I went to Burma.
Yes. And after the war?
Well, just before the end of the war, I came back to London and was instrumental in recruiting the various commissions of control that were being formed for Germany, Austria, and Italy, and so on.
Yes. And then you resigned your commission?
Then I retired, yes.
At which point I think we might break off for record number 4. What's that going to be?
Well, record number 4's got nothing to do with soldiering or anything, but it's a beautiful little tune which I adore. It's called Schubert's Serenade, Ständchen, and that's one I'd like to have.
Now, you left the army shortly after the last war. We haven't talked about your career as a writer yet. You had been writing while you were in the army.
Yes. Well, it came about that I broke my leg in 1924. I did not fall off my horse as a dentist might. A horse fell on top of me and broke my leg.
Yes.
And I got bored with reading, so I thought that I'd write a book. I wrote a book called The Emancipation of Ambrose. It was filmed, was translated into Spanish, into French by myself. In fact, did very well everywhere except in England.
And that was the first of many books?
That was the first of many books.
Mostly fiction?
Mostly entirely fiction. I'm bored with fact. And I mean, a report on military subjects bores me beyond endurance.
You write sometimes under your own name and also under a nom de plume?
No, in those days I wrote under a nom de plume because for an officer, cavalry officer, to be literate, let alone to write, is rather a disgrace. And I would not have liked it to be known that I was capable of such enormities.
Now, your writing career in recent years was interrupted by a very long and complicated legal case.
Yes.
You had yet another spell of imprisonment, this time for debagging a solicitor, I remember. But you conducted your own case all the way through to the House of Lords.
Not all the way through. I was so ill-advised as to be represented in the first case in the High Court, which was the lowest court in which I've ever been. Then, having seen the mess that the people who were representing me made of the thing, I decided to chuck the whole lot out and to deal with the situation myself. So I took it through the Court of Appeal, where I lost 2-1 on. Then I took it to the House of Lords, where I won unanimously.
Yes. This, I believe, is quite unprecedented.
Well, I don't know about unprecedented for me, no doubt. But I'm told that there have been 2 or 3 cases since 1800-odd when a litigant in person has won his case. But I'm also told that no litigant has ever been known to win it unanimously.
As you did?
Yes. Whether it means that the House of Lords have improved since those days or not, I don't know.
Now, what else to bring the story up to date? Appearances on television, journalism. Are you on a book at the moment?
Yes, I'm writing. I'm always writing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm writing a book called Military Intelligence, which gives my views on that abstruse art.
Well, let's have your 5th record now, Colonel Wintle. What's that going to be?
Well, my 5th record is going to be Light Cavalry. And I like this tune because I'm very fond of horses. And I can see the horses' legs moving through this tune.
Supé's Light Cavalry Overture, played by the Philharmonia Orchestra, conducted by Herbert von Karajan, which brings us now to number 6. What's that to be?
Gounod's Faust.
Yes.
No question of that. I love it, but of course it's too long for this program, probably too long for Desert Island too. And so all I want from that, at this juncture, is that song which goes, Je t'appartiens, je t'adore, pour toi je veux mourir. And, well, between ourselves, I shouldn't mind if somebody said that to me.
Ask you the familiar question, could you look after yourself on a desert island? I should think you could look after yourself anywhere.
Oh, I think so, yes. I mean, after all, I was able to look after myself all these courts when I was surrounded entirely by nothing but enemies in sight. Lawyers, you see. And so when I should be more or less alone, I should be able to relax a good deal and get on with something useful.
Yes. Could you build a craft?
Oh, I should think so.
If you did, would you try to get away?
I shouldn't get away.
You would?
I mean, I'd try to get away. I should get away. Yes. If I built a craft, yes.
Would navigation be a problem for you?
No, I think I should aim for some rather lengthy coastline, like, should we say, that of the two Americas, which
Yeah.
I'm fairly certain of hitting sooner or later.
I hope you hit it at a convenient point. Let's have record number 7.
Well, record number 7 is Wienerblut. It's a charming thing, and there again it's rather long, so I've selected a little small piece out of it.
Yes.
And I want the magnificent one. For all the saints who from their labours rest. And living. As a small boy, I used to think it was for all the saints who from their neighbours rest. And I thought, well, anyway, these fellows are going to have a good time. But then another reason why I have it is connected with my first thing, my first march, Light of Foot. It reminds me of all my friends who were killed in 2 wars, of whom I think every day. And I never go into a public place without looking at innumerable empty chairs and think, so-and-so ought to be sitting there. And so I would have that hymn to remind me of them and to please me with its beautiful harmony.
By the Cloister Choir. Well, there are your 8 records, Colonel Wintle. I don't have to ask you which one you would choose, because you've already told us it would be the overture to the Magic Flute.
Oh, no question, yes.
And you're allowed to take on the island, as well as your records, one luxury.
One luxury? Well, I think I should have a jolly good dog whip.
Well, you wouldn't have a dog?
No, dog whip's all I want. And I should have that handy in case one or two modern composers I know should offer to land on my island. Or in case, shall we say, German troops should offer to come and train there. Or even worse, in case some of your previous victims should offer to land on my desert island with their own records.
All right, you shall have your dog whip.
Thank you.
And one book apart from the Bible and Shakespeare.
Oh. Well, I think I'd like a very large blank book so that I could write in it. You know, inexhaustible.
Yes.
So there'd be even one page left on the day I was taken off.